Alright guys, welcome to part 3. I did all of example 5 before I realized I made a mistake in my problem, like the way I wrote my problem. Anyways, so we're subtracting rational expressions. As with addition, to subtract rational expressions with unlike denominators, you must first rename the expression using a common denominator. So if you see here, our denominators are 3a minus 6, a plus 2. Non-like denominators, so we're going to have to work to get them to be like. But step 1 is we can pull out a common factor here. We have 3a minus 6. We have a common factor of 3. So this can become 3a minus 2. And now, lucky for the process of finding least common denominators now, our problems are entirely factored. Here we have 3 times a minus 2. So those are our first two unique terms. 3 times a minus 2. And that makes up all of our denominator for our first term. And our second term is just a plus 2, or 1 times a plus 2. So that makes up our unique term for our second one. A plus 2. None of these terms are represented by any kind of exponents. They're all just to a power of 1. So our least common denominator that we need to get both of these expressions to have is the denominator of 3 times a minus 2 times a plus 2. So our first term right here is going to be pretty easy because it already has the 3 present and the a minus 2 present. That means the only thing we need to multiply our first term of 4 over 3 times a minus 2 by is just a plus 2. And we're going to multiply that in the numerator and the denominator, because if we multiply it in the numerator and the denominator, it's as though we just multiplied it by 1 and haven't actually changed the value of our expression. So 4 times a is 4a plus 2 times 4 is 8, so 4a over 12. And then all of this over our least common denominator, which we're not going to multiply together, we're just going to leave in terms of its factors. So 3 times a minus 2, a plus 2. And now this is our first term with our common denominator. And now, ignoring our subtraction sign, we're going to do the same thing with our second term of a over a plus 2. This one's going to take a little bit more work because we need to get to our common denominator, but the only term we have present is a plus 2. So that means we're going to have to multiply it by a minus 2 and 3. So we're going to just do it slowly. First, I'm going to multiply it all by 3. So 3 over 3. And that's going to bring me to 3a over a plus 2 times 3. So now I have 3 present and a plus 2 present. So now I just have to multiply my new expression by a minus 2. And just start multiplying. 3a times a is going to be 3a squared. 3a minus 2 is going to be negative 6a. And so now we've multiplied our numerator. Denominator we keep simple. We're just going to keep it all in terms of factors. To match it, have it match this one, I'm just going to do 3 times a minus 2 times a plus 2. And now I have my two new expressions. This was my new one with a common denominator, and this is my new one with a common denominator. So now I'm going to rewrite it up here and do my actual subtraction. So my first problem, and again, they're both under the common denominator, so I just have to write the denominator once, and I'm going to combine my numerators and then look for like terms. So I have 4a plus 8 for my first problem. And now remember that it's subtraction, so subtraction is the addition of the numbers opposite, so I have to change my signs for everything in my second one. So I originally have a positive 3a squared, so now I'm going to have a negative 3a squared. I originally had a negative 6, and now I'm going to have a positive 6a, all over my common denominator, which is 3 times a minus 2, a plus 2. And now I'm going to look for like terms to bring together, then I'm going to write it in descending order. I have a 4a and a 6a, so that's going to be 10a. 6, or not 6, my 8 is by itself, it's just a constant, and then I have a negative 3a squared. I don't have any other a squared, so it's by itself. So in descending order first, I'm going to have negative 3a squared taken care of. Combine my like terms. 4a plus 6a is 10a. Boom, boom. And then plus 8 all over my common denominator of 3 times a minus 2, a plus 2. And we solved example 5. Good job.